folks. Here we are, another episode of the Logan Pettis Show. It's the Logan Pettis Show because I'm Logan Pettis and it's my show. And we have Heather Snethen on the show, and I am so excited about this. Heather and I were just talking before, and Heather and I's lives, we grew up in the same, I won't say small town. It's a town of like 70,000 people, St. Joseph, Missouri. But it's got that small town vibe. Like you will run into the same, like, 70,000 people over and over and over again. And so it's really cool to have Heather on the show. Before we get into her, I just want to plug a couple of shows that are coming up this weekend on the wrestling side of things. As you can see, I'm the River City Wrestling Men's General Manager for anybody that didn't know that, and also the two-time Undisputed Manager of the Year. I'm the best manager, the greatest manager. Nobody's ever managed quite like I manage. I walked into this room and I said, that's a damn fine manager. And that's my Donald Trump impression, folks. But this Friday and Saturday, there are two shows for two good causes. Some of you know about United 210, which was a wrestling promotion on the south side of San Antonio, got shut down by the city. City politics, Heather. Crazy.
What do you know? It's everywhere.
I know it. Anyway, so a little backstory for Heather here. This promotion runs in the south side of San Antonio. They do a lot of good things. It's run by Dave Campos, who wrestles as Stud Stash. And he is a military veteran. He was a medic in Iraq, and he came back with PTSD, and wrestling basically saved his life, and he started a promotion. He works with us at River City Wrestling. And his promotion's been gaining ground the last 3 years. They put him on KSAT, which is San Antonio News. And immediately following, the city came and they want their cut. And shut the whole show down. So,
weight class is he in, first of all?
He's a big boy.
Is he like 90 kilos? I do everything in kilos.
Mercy.
Would you say like a 105 kilo? So like...
Sure. I put Stud Stash as a super heavyweight, perhaps.
Super heavyweight, yeah. But regardless, that's some shit, though. I mean, you go through all that stuff, and you go through that, and then to get you don't owe a cut at that point. No. Nothing. So you owe nothing.
And what it amounts to is he's running a residential neighborhood that is not zoned for wrestling, but he's been doing this for 3 years. So
someone is shady about it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm gonna say. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah.
So Friday night, they are having a show at the Hybrid School of Wrestling, which there are several of our RCW roster that are going to be on the show, and a lot of our RCW roster comes from the Hybrid School of Wrestling. And they are going to be putting on a show to benefit United 210. Proceeds will go to that. And then Saturday night at the Hybrid School of Wrestling, there will be Megala Don Juan is the name of the show. Don Juan, for anybody that doesn't know, is a awesome creative mind as far as wrestling goes. He's a really cool guy. He's trained a lot of the young talent. He was instrumental in my career in helping me kind of, figure out what I was doing and things very early on at RCW. And he got stomach cancer. Back in March was diagnosed, and he's been out of work, and just medical bills and things add up, and so they're having a benefit for Don Juan called Megala Don Juan on Saturday. I would love to be there, but I will be out of town, unfortunately. So, go if you are within the sound of my voice and can get to San Antonio, please attend those events.
How much money are they trying to raise for these two events? Like, is this like the first guy, the VA guy? How much money does he need to raise?
They need was it something like $5,000 or something? Because you've got to put in the permits, and you've got to.
But
he's got to buy the lot next door. Yeah.
And I work in cancer, so like that's the other thing that I'm kind of like. My brain is just going crazy right now because I just it's just wild to me that
My
these two people are
father-in-law
going through this and nothing is out there.
my father-in-law passed away from colorectal cancer about 9 years ago. And so it's a touchy subject. It just to
Well,
sit
cancer
and watch
is
that,
very
and
near and dear to my heart. I started out in the dental world and then besides all the other stuff, and then decided that cancer was like, I thought I was going to go in nursing during COVID. And then COVID hit and my friend was like, "Hey, I got a job for you at the cancer center if you want to see what it's like before you go on this back end of everything." And so I was like up front, like with, the office side of it. And then I quickly decided that nursing probably wasn't my deal because I'm not trying to save people's life. I don't think that I found I was better on the back end of it. But now I've been in it for this many years and I'm just telling you, like, it is something that is crazy to me, passionate to me. So if people can't get out and support that, then I don't know what else they could support. Or somebody in the military. I've been in that life too. So I completely understand like where this all comes into play for you guys. And that sucks for somebody that literally got into a sport for their mental health and now they can't do it. I mean, without getting like paying something, like what are we talking about?
yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel for that. But yeah. And I'll definitely, if you give me those links to that, I'll post it on my Instagram and everything else. Because I think
Yeah, I
that's
certainly will,
super important.
and I'll put them up wherever it is links go on this.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. And I just want to clarify to everyone before we start this, we have been like Facebook friends for, what do you think, like 10 years plus?
At least, yeah.
And we have never met in person.
And that's what we talked about this some before we came on. So again, small big town, right? Like
I want to say there's over 100,000 here now. For sure.
Really? The official number is 70,000.
I think there's more than that. I mean,
I would hazard to guess, yes.
Yeah, but it's a small big.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and especially, okay, so I've spent a lot of time around, like Heather grew up, she's a 238er. For anybody that doesn't know what a 238er is, 238 used to be the prefix for the phone numbers back when people had landlines for everybody in the south side of town. I grew up as a 279er, but I have a fun story about that. 79 was basically like everywhere else. Either that or it was 364, but
he grew up in the better side of town, if he wants to tell you that differently.
No.
No, I'm not saying the South End is all bad, but I grew up in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, basically.
The north side is like the hood, the nice side of town.
No, it's not. And not anymore.
Okay. Ghetto Countryville is what we used to call it.
But
because it's like you could be right next to the hood, and then over here across the street is farmland.
And
it was really weird.
I have to tell you this, but okay. So first, before I forget, I want to shout out for him for wearing a Spice Girl shirt. I am a diehard Spice Girl for life, Baby Spice, everything, and I cannot believe you did that. So thank you so much for doing that. Second of all, it's just like anywhere else, though. Like, you can drive a street over and still be in the hood if you're here. But now we've divided. And so my dad used to tell me, he goes, "Heather, I'm going to get in rainbow shape." I said, "Oh, yeah." And I've heard this so many times. I said, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "First, I'm going to swim across the Missouri River." "All right, what are you going to do next?" He goes, "Then I'm going to go dig ditches with the prisoners at Leavenworth." "Okay, well, what are you going to do next?" He goes, "Then I'm going to go to East Side with $100 bills hanging out of my pockets and run at midnight." And I'm like, that might get you in rainbow shape. I don't know. Just a complete nut job. Just complete nuts.
We have to shout out Coach Dennis Snethen.
Oh,
and this is Heather's actual tie-in to wrestling. She has a strong wrestling tie-in, as in the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. So her dad Mark Henry's Olympic weightlifting coach. And that's crazy, but her dad's always been a character for as long. I've known him longer than I've known her, or at least who he was. Everybody knows him. How is he doing, by the way?
Well, he just got out of the hospital today. He broke his damn hip at 65.
And I'm sure he's up, like, trying to do things.
Well, I think he, do you remember whenever he fell off the roof?
Yeah.
Okay, so since that, it's been kind of like a really big struggle. My dad used to run like 9 miles a day in the morning. I don't know if you know this, he ran the Boston Marathon and he was the fastest American runner. He ran 6-minute miles every mile before I was born. There's a lot of things to my dad that are like, he walked on a Missouri Western's basketball team. He's the highest scorer in St. Joe basketball at all. He scored 50 points and a half. My dad is athletic, but seeing him getting older, but not that old, it has been a very huge struggle for me. Because I'm just kind of like, you expect your parents to be your hero. You expect your parents to be strong, like you remember them the whole time. And that fall was real, and he shouldn't even have been there. That's the crazy thing. But now that I have kids, he's trying his hardest. And I think that that's like a big thing that comes into play. But so he's back home today, but who knows what tomorrow brings. I mean, that's kind of what it is, and it's just like wild.
You gotta have that, and I've had this conversation with my parents. It's like, slow down.
But they
You
don't.
are
And we're not there yet, so we don't know what mentality they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my mentality is like, I'm going to keep going till I can't go anymore. But at the same time, it's like, you have to listen to yourself a little bit. But that cat's gonna wear me out till the day he dies. I swear to God. But anyway, back to the Mark Henry story. So Mark was an Olympic weightlifter before he was a WWE wrestler. And he was huge. And he also went to St. Joe, by the way, and lifted in Olympic trials and went to the Ramada Inn for the championship. I have to send you these pictures. Wearing a cowboy hat that Stetson gave them.
Nice.
But let me tell you, this man, I met Mark like years ago, whatever. My dad went to Atlanta and my dad goes, I've never met any man stronger than this. He could put a nail through a wood board with his hand. He ripped the Atlanta phone book with his hands. Do you know how thick that thing was back in that day? I mean, ridiculous. But the best story ever is, he could do anything. He had all that strongman stuff before Olympic weightlifting. The best story is, so they're in China, they're starving for days. Because usually, like, the heavyweight lifters lift later on. When you arrive, you have to get used to the environment, and, like, time change and all that stuff to lift. And so, of course, he lifts, like, the last day. And there's no restaurants around. No birds in the sky, no bugs on the ground. They're walking through, like, rat markets, people biting off snake heads in the market. They're like, hell no, we're not doing this. I'm not getting anything from this. Find a Pizza Hut. And the guy comes out and they're taking pictures of him, like, of all the guys. Because they're like, oh, Americans, we're taking pictures. And Mark orders like 5 large pizzas. And, they're like taking the order. And then they start to walk up. My dad goes, oh, no. That's his order. That's not mine. That's not ours. It was just hilarious. But I'm so proud of him because he is like literally the funniest person I've ever met. That he did the WWE and all that stuff. But like I told you, they offered that to my dad and Wes, and they should have took that shit and ran with it.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
But my dad just loves coaching those kids, man. Like, I can't get him. He would never get off of that. And I think that's the worst part about this whole thing, too, is like, he thinks, I hate this to be the end of the rope. If you end this by just you not being able to do it. So he's really hell-bent on getting back in his gym and coaching the kids and stuff. So.
And that's admirable, and hopefully he gets to get back to doing that. And that's what I said that as I was going to. This introduction for Heather has gone like every which direction, but no, I mean that's something. That's what I say about Heather is the epitome of like strong woman. You do the barbell Barbie thing and that whole yeah, come on now.
Not as much anymore though. Like
Yeah, but I mean, for the last 20 years that I've known you and seen you around and things, you've done that, and you've gone out and you've done your best to be inspirational. I always said, what's the picture of you jumping up in the air with the thing here? I'm like, that needed some sort of motivational nonsense written underneath it. But yeah,
it's not a Bible quote though, so just don't pin me on that one. I
will make that happen.
I love the ones that are like, let me show my boobs and then let me put a Bible quote underneath it. Like, let's not do that.
Happen. I will Photoshop that later.
No, we don't need that. We already we need to see. We don't even need to hear the comment. Like, it looks great.
Psalm 23.
It looks great. I'm just saying. I mean, that's what it is. It's so crazy out here. Like, and when I started weightlifting, I was 10 years old. So I'm going to be 39 in July. So that's how old I am. But we didn't have all this. My best lifts are not on a camera. It's not on a video. It's not on anything. And I'm like, this is bullshit because I don't have anything to back up. Like, I can make you feel like, I could go out here and lift a barbell and make you feel a certain way, but it's not what like my life is. Like, it's wild. It's wild out here. I don't know. Anyway.
You've still gone out. You've still represented. You've still been inspiration, motivation to.
I've thought about opening my own gym here. And, the thing is, I manage a cancer center. So a gym for me would be like it would be like my hobby. But the way that I have my kids rolling and everything else, like, I don't know if I never half-ass anything. I'm going
could
full
be the
ass
Darcy
everything.
of St. Joe weightlifting.
I mean, no, and I'm just saying, like, I have priorities, and if I don't have those priorities and have a gym, that's a full-time commitment to me. And I just feel like if I do that, then I have to full ass it. Never half-ass, full ass. And that's kind of why I haven't competed in a while either, is because, like, it's half-ass. I'm not going to go show my ass out there and be like, oh, okay, well, she can kind of live what she did. No, I have to train like 6 days a week, 2 hours a day at least, and then go out there and do it. I'm not going to like train like 2 hours or 2 days a week and just go out there and be like, oh, hey, I'm here again. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And why people are like, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? Well, I think when you're involved, and when you're involved in a sport, when you're involved in a real ass sport, you're not going to go half-ass it. And I don't even think that would be respectable.
And I appreciate that you've got your priorities in check, as in, like, I'm going to take care of my kids first before, this thing over here.
They're 3 and 8. Like, I have no...
Well, there are a lot of people, especially like in the wrestling world, I see this all the time, that would rather like, I've got to go look good so I can make it to the WWE. And I'm like, have you fed your children?
Well, I think that's it too. It's a very hard balance when you've been an athlete. Because I think people get confused with WWE a lot, that those are real athletes. Like, it might not be 1000% real wrestling, but you need to know how to wrestle. That's what I told Cree before we started. Number 2, you have to be a fucking athlete. Like, these people aren't just out here like pulled off the street. So you have the athlete mentality. You've already had that burn into you. And I think it's a really hard pill to swallow. It's like, like I said, I'm almost 39 years old. I'm a master now, weightlifter. And I've never competed in masters, and I refuse to do that because I'll just compete with the kids. I don't care. But I'm just like, it's a sport. It's a sport. I don't know what the conflict is between, oh, well, that's fake or what. No, it's a sport. And I think that the public has it all wrong about that. But, it's easy to eat Oreos on your couch and watch it.
It's, it was explained to me one time that it's two people out there pretending to murder each other in their underwear. And then, I mean, I'm going to pull back the curtain, but kayfabe doesn't exist anymore anyway. Thanks, Vince McMahon, wherever you are. But, at the same time, you're doing all these moves, and there's this ebb and flow, and you're taking care of each other at the same time, so that way you can both go home to your families at the end of the day. You'll put on this contest so that way.
That's almost like gymnastics.
Yeah.
I mean, I just I take Cree every year to WWE for his birthday and everything. And unfortunately, my dad wasn't able to go this time because he broke his hip. But, and I've never sat ringside, but we sat ringside and I watched it, and just the way, I mean, it is gymnastics. It's gymnastics. I mean, it's like Olympic weightlifting is the gymnastics of powerlifting. That's kind of how I look at it, because it's all technique. It's all how you move your body. It's how close you have the bar to your body, like every little thing. And I think that that's very similar to, what they do and everything. But anyway.
Have you ever been to an independent wrestling show?
No, I haven't. But they did have, oh God, I don't know if I should say midget stripping wrestling the other day here in St. Joe. No, I did not go because, listen, they said this girl was 4'11". She's 5 foot. But 4'11" is not a midget.
Fun story. Speaking of St. Joe, so I don't know.
Let's get back to that.
No, do you know Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo?
Well, she wasn't Little Red, right? They didn't call her Little Red.
But did you ever know them, like Littlebrook and Little Tokyo? There's like Bobby Tavi is his real name. And
I've heard that, but I've never met them or anything like that.
There's Lori and all that. Anyway, they were the ones that when my brother Cody, I've told this story on the show before, and you'll hear it again, but they were available when Cody was like, I want to learn how to be a wrestler. And so Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo were in like WrestleMania 3, like Big John Studd match, like midgets. And anyway, and that's how I ended up in the wrestling business, was they were like, do you have anybody like your height that can do this? And then I showed up, and then later it was Sonny Myers and Craig Kiesman came along and took over. Shout out to Craig Kiesman, Wendy Wine Company. And Miranda Gordy. But, yeah, so that's how that whole thing started. And then when Craig and Sonny came along, I kind of phased out. But that was how we did that. And then they went on, they were on like Midget Wrestling MTV show, whatever that was called. Path Pride Brawlers.
Oh my God. No, I don't know them. How did...
Yeah, they still live there in town, actually. Lord Littlebrook's, I think, I gotta get this right. Lord Littlebrook's granddaughter, Sierra Dube, just passed away. She had a heart thing. She went in for heart surgery and ended up passing away. From St. Joe? Yeah, and she was...
Yes, okay. Did she ride motorcycles?
7'8". Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. I know exactly who you're talking about.
See?
I didn't know that.
Small town.
Small, big town. But here's
no,
what...
and that's the... Go for it. I said go for it.
No, I was going to tell you, here's my WWE experience, though. Besides us taking Cree to wrestling. So, I used to go to the Arnold Classic every year. Have you ever been to that? Have you ever been to that? You have to go to that. So it's Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. My dad was the president of USA Weightlifting at the time, and he was on the school board at the time. And so he wore around his say yes button. Okay, that's just a backup. Anyway, WWE, back to that. So you walk around this event center and this convention center and you go get like free protein and whatever they're selling and everything. But there's also stars there. So I met Triple H. I was like so hyped up to meet him because my dad, I've been watching in WWE since I've been like 3rd grade at least. My dad watched it religiously with my grandpa every Monday night, you know, every pay-per-view we had to rent, everything. So he was okay. But then, you know, I was kind of like, all right, well, I took a picture or whatever. And this is like before Facebook or Instagram or any of that. And then I go around the corner and my dad goes, holy shit, that's Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk. And I'm like, even more starstruck. So I go around the corner to meet Lou Ferrigno and he tried to charge me $25 to take my picture with him. I'm like, first of all, you can't even hear, like, he was like, they told, that's so fucked up. I can't hear what you're fucking saying, but all I know is $25 to take my picture with you? You should be taking a picture with me. I competed in this event, not you. Dad was like,
Heather's gonna go tell off the Incredible Hulk
Heather,
here.
stop. I mean, if my dad's saying Heather, stop, you know it's a bad ordeal. Because Heather, no filter. Like, I literally could not believe it. But anyway, I think Triple H, who was the other guy in the Suck It thing? Not Shawn Michaels, I've seen him. Who was
X-Pac, maybe?
X-Pac. I think he was there too, but I didn't get a picture with him. But at the Arnold Expo, we went and we lifted against a Chinese weightlifting team at the expo. So there was like thousands of people there, and I had to go out there and pretend like I was lifting a lot of weight against the Chinese men. So I go out there and I'm like in a hot pink little singlet, and I'm like, I'm just gonna lift this 35 kilos, which is nothing. And I go out there and I do it. And then they were like, well, do like a flip or something. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I had to make it like enjoyable. That thing is a shit show. I'm not going back. Now I think about that. There's no way in hell I could do that. No way in hell. Anyway.
Go out and do a flip. No, so people, you guys need to like check out her Instagram and stuff. And like, are all the pictures on there like of you lifting and like your freaking prom earrings?
I'm a little bit extra, but you know,
it's fantastic though. Cause so am I.
But I think like I like to claim my fame to this. It's not like from looking like I don't lift weights, but I do, because I've always wanted muscles. I've always wanted big legs. I always wanted a big butt. I always wanted all this stuff. And I told my dad the only reason I started weightlifting is to be closer to my dad because he was always gone when I was like 10 years old. And women didn't even have Olympics then. You couldn't go to the Olympics. And so what was the point? I told him, I said, hey, if I ever started looking like a dude, I'm done. I'm out. And so, you know, I just kind of based it off of that. And you know, I'd match my headbands to where the lighting was the perfect spot. And my dad's like, if you're worried about your makeup and the lighting, then you're not worried about how much you're lifting. And I'm like, no, because if you look good, you feel good. Like, you feel good. And so that's when I started making all the singlets, because I made the hot pink ones, leopard print. I mean, I started making like custom singlets for girls just because we wore the same thing as the men. Like, who wants to wear that boring ass shit out there and then still be in a men's sport? I mean, it really is a men's sport. And so I just started doing that. And I really feel good about that, because now there's like multiple brands out there that offer hot pink shoes, hot pink singlets, hot pink, you know, everything. So anyway, you're not even leading this. I'm just talking too much.
No, you're fine. No, this is what the show is. If you had come along 20 years later, like, I guarantee if you were out there doing what you've done, you'd be one of those people that's gone viral or whatever it had.
Yeah, for sure. And I think about that often because I know a lot of the people that are, like,
Right.
personally, and I'm just like, you know, it just makes me take a step back a little bit, because I could waste all my effort into this. But
you were the innovator though.
But I don't, and whenever I run into them, like they tell me this, but it's not like I want that now. What do you need? Sorry. What do you need? Oh my God, they're asking me for the remote. Just a minute. I'm sorry. No, I just feel like it's these new and upcoming girls, and I'm telling you, they are fucking strong. Stronger than me, stronger than, I mean, winning gold medals out here at the Olympics. Because I guess I should back this up. When Olympics, for me, you had to do a gender test. You had to do drug test. I got drug tested, I think, 34 times in a year. They would meet me at East Hills Mall and make me take a drug test when I was like 15. And they literally watch you do it and sit there and watch you do it. And you have to pour your own pee into a cup and whatever. You had to tell them your whereabouts at all times. I think going from that era to now is incredible. Because USA is kicking ass. And because they can't, I think it really started in Beijing. So in Beijing, everybody went and they said, hey, you won the gold medal here, but we're going to freeze your sample and we're going to test it in a couple years when we got the technology. And then we're going to find out the real result. And then we're going to strip your medal and take you for everything you got. Yeah. What do you need? Can you say hi? Can you give me a second?
Welcome to the
just
show.
Talk. Don't show my Chihuahua pajama pants. You talk for a second.
So anyway, she's gonna get it. I'll tell the fun story that I was going into when I was talking about two creators and stuff. So Heather grew up on the south side of St. Joe. I grew up on the north side of St. Joe, but I always felt a weird connection to the south side. And I'll tell a fun personal story here. So. And actually, Heather knows several members of my family, I guarantee it. The Pettis name is kind of all over the place, and my dad always told me, so there was a rift in that family. Dad always told me, though, if they're white and they live in St. Joe, chances are you're related. But so there was that, and I found out this later. I was adopted, right? So I'm thumbing through old stuff. My grandpa actually went to Spring Garden Elementary School, so he was a South Side guy. And then, of course, there's the familial thing going on. And then, so years go on, I find out that I was adopted. And my biological father's people, actually my biological mother's people, all live in the south side of St. Joe. So I am not necessarily a tooth creator by birth. Well, probably. Well, I was born in Heartland Hospital and then sent to Kansas City, but that's a whole nother story. But it's in my blood. I've got that south side in my veins. But yeah, so Heather, inspiration here, outspoken. An ambassador to St. Joseph, Missouri, somebody the town can really be proud of. But they won't be because she actually cares and calls them to the carpet, and we're going to get to that here in a second as soon as she finds this remote for her children. But yeah, cool to actually get to listen to some of her insight into the world of weightlifting and the stuff at the Olympics, and I didn't know some of that stuff. I didn't know some of that stuff about her dad. That's actually really cool. I just have always known her dad as this kind of larger than life character. While I never look at me, do I look like I weightlift? I can't tell you the last time I saw the inside of a gym. But yeah, I didn't know that. I always knew he was this really cool guy. I don't know if my brother did weights with him. I do know I had a good friend by the name of Keith Swing, and Keith was going to go be some kind of a weightlifter once upon a time, and that just, I guess, did not happen. But I'd always heard stories of Coach Snethen, and so anyway, really cool. Hopefully, yeah, we will keep him in thoughts and prayers and stuff, and hopefully he will be back to doing what it is that he loves doing.
I'm back. So, we need to talk more about, I think, St. Joe.
We need to talk about St. Well, I was just telling them my connection to the South Side. and how it's deep in my blood. So while I grew up on the north side of town, I'll tell the story again, right? My grandfather went to Spring Garden Elementary School.
Okay, that's right up the street from where I live right now.
And was from it's a middle school now, but was from the south side. And actually, so I know that you're friends with a lot of the Pettises.
Yes.
And so there was a weird family split. I don't know, somebody got mad at somebody and we all stopped talking. So I don't know a lot of them. But Dad always said if there I kind of know Kaylee. I know like April and
I don't even know
just
April
passed away Gary.
Gary Pettis. Well, Kaylee Pettis has been my best friend since I was 5.
She's probably a cousin.
But she grew up right across the road from Benton.
Dad always said if they're white and they live in town, he said they're probably...
If they're white and they live in town. You know what's worse is that I'm dating Jeff Weisenberger, and literally I cannot go one place and they're like, I know your dad or you're a Weisenberger. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know this person? Like, what are we, like...
I live currently in a town of like 6,000 people and everybody knows my wife. And so I tell people I'm Mr. Cox all the time. And if they don't know her, she's like related to them. That's why she had to find a Missouri boy.
She had to find the Missouri boy.
Yes.
I swear to God though, even if I moved Jeff away, he would find somebody he knows. We got back in town for vacation, and the first thing, they're hollering out the window, hey, Jeff, or honking. I'm like, we can't even get out the door. I feel so left out. Like,
and here we thought you were the celebrity.
I'm not the celebrity. It's that man. I swear. Have you ever been to Dance New and Used?
Yes.
That's his dad.
That's a blast from the past. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, it's his dad. So everywhere we go, and he's like, yeah, I'm Dan's kid. And they're like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? I mean, and I could look, and I look pretty bad right now, but I could look my absolute worst. And the most people come up to us, and I'm just like, God, like, can we just, like, I'm in my Chihuahua pants. Can we just, like, keep going?
No, Dan had a last name.
Yes, it's Dan Weisenberger, which is Jeff's
Dan.
dad.
Okay.
Oh my God, my dad and I have to tell you that story too. So,
but yeah, so the Pettises are my dad's family, and that's my adopted dad, right? So I was adopted. And then come to find out, my biological father is a guy named Shane Brown. And shout out to my little sister Selena, who graduated from Benton class of like 5 years ago or something.
Shane Brown? I bet if I brought Jeff in here, you'd know who it was.
Possibly. But anyway, so that is my biological father, and then my biological mother is Dawn Hafley, like we were talking about Ghetto Countryville earlier. I forgot what the name of the road is that I went and met my biological grandmother a couple of years ago. I have never been down this road in St. Joe in my life. But I turned down it. It's in the south end. It's like you pass there's a Dollar General, and you just go a little bit and you hang a left right there, and it looks like you're in West Virginia.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. My brother Ricky could spout it out, and he know exactly what road I'm talking about.
If Jeff comes in, I'll ask him. But no, that's wild. But
yeah, it looks like the hills have eyes. So I've got 238 in my blood, man.
The hills have eyes. No, I got hills have eyes stories. But what's the most hood rat thing you've done in your adult life there? And let's just play that game.
The most hood rat thing here? Or I don't know that my wife won't let me be a hood rat anymore.
That's good. But you haven't done anything hood rat there? You haven't been St. Joe there? Because I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours. Like,
I probably have, and just thought that it was so normal that I just went...
What? So tell me that and I'll tell you mine. I've never admitted this to anyone. But it's so fucking funny if I tell it now.
I'm trying to think of an instance where I've just done something and been like...
You haven't. You're a good boy. You don't do anything unread.
I have. I've gotten soft in my old age, and I don't know that I've done anything
You
real
need
crazy.
to be. I have, but this instance in itself was not
I've gotten. I mean, I know that I've let like somebody has pissed me off, and I've gotten real ghetto and like turned on the thug pimp voice and like
Have you
said,
ever been in a Facebook fight with somebody and then you show up to their house instead of like answering the question?
I've been in a Facebook, like legitimate Facebook argument with like a group of wrestlers. Like they're that's a whole story in itself. But anyway, yeah, we started talking mad shit one
You
time
just show
on
up.
Facebook. And I showed up. Yeah, I showed up. They were having an event at a bar. And I just showed up and sat there.
Well, let me tell you, this is just a story. It's not real life. It's not real life. I didn't actually do this.
Are you sure it's not?
No, it is. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So Jeff's dad got in the hospital and he sold all this like wood paneling to somebody. And so we go and they already paid him for it, but he's in the hospital. So we're going to like get it. So we go to get it and it's gone. It got taken from the property. No cameras, no nothing. So Jeff thinks it's at this certain person's house. And so I'm like, well, let's just go get it then. Why not? I am the first person to knock on the door. And like, where's this at? He gave me the wrong house. And I almost got ran over. I don't even know if you could post this video because it's like,
It'll be fun.
What? No, it was like a fake. We didn't actually find out who did it. And then there was more to the story, but I had the wrong house. So that's how much hood rat I am.
Nah, that's fine.
But anyway, you want to talk about
I want to talk like the
college
question, yeah, when we came on is literally, it's like, what in the hell is going on in town right now? So we'll start with, okay. We'll start with like, you know, the South Side thing, right? So they are trying to remove, you'll have to explain this to people that don't know what I'm talking about. They're trying to remove Wawa Lanawa.
Hey, you're gonna get the ghost of that shit, because that's real.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Basically, in a nutshell, to bring it short, is they were trying to get rid of Benton, completely wipe Benton out, to build a new South End high school into the above and beyond. It's like the Moana. I mean, like, it would have been wherever. Because they didn't give you an actual... I saw their plan. They didn't give you an actual land area where this would be built. Okay? I alone pay like $1,000 a year for St. Joseph School District just in my property taxes. Yeah. Mind you, this is gonna like build it up a little bit more. I don't care. But they didn't give the actual property. They just said, oh, well, we got it, but let's just like make it a real thing. Okay, so then if you vote for this, then Benton and Lafayette are going to get combined together, and you just got this, and you just deal with it. First of all, you don't make fucking sense. Show me the plan so I can vote for it. And they said, you vote yes or no, but if you vote no, we're going to combine these next year together. I know better than that. I'm like, you can't do anything without a vote. But how are you going to pressure people into voting for something that you don't have a plan about? And then it comes to find out, after everyone obviously voted no, that you had no fucking plan. So who was going to get the kickback?
This for years.
They said they were going to build it in a year.
Didn't they do this a few years back with...
Oh my God, they've tried it so many times, but now you've lost the trust of the voters. You're not going to get the plan. So what are you trying to achieve here?
Voter trust was lost
when my dad was in there. And
I was about to
let's talk about that a little bit more.
Was that pre?
No,
That was 2008. Okay. So that was
Okay,
before I left.
2008-ish. So we had Dan Colgan. We had my dad, Martin Rucker. We had two guys from the South End on this board. And so they just, I'm not quite sure what the agenda is here, honestly, because if you build a mega school, you know who you're going to be competing against? St. Louis, Jeff City. You're not going to be competing against Savannah, the same fucking people. Who do you think's going to come out of this? And so that's where I'm kind of like, what is the agenda here? So we got to back this up to the Martin Rucker, Dennis Snethen, Dan Colgan, Bo Musser kind of deal.
And if the name Martin Rucker sounds familiar to anybody, yes, that is the father of the NFL players.
T. Rucker and, Michael Rucker. So
I always appreciated his name was T. Rucker because I always liked Rucker.
Yeah, no, he's fucking awesome.
He is.
I would never say anything bad about him. He's a year older than me. We went to school together, everything. But I want to say
I met him through an ex that we don't talk about.
Oh, we won't talk about exes because then we'll get on a whole. That need to be a whole nother.
You've got a couple of those.
Podcast.
You've got a couple of those.
Just a few, but no. We go back to all this, and I feel like just so everyone knows, Bo Musser and my dad are friends now. Bo Musser drives my dad home sometimes from the gym. His kid lives there. But I will say
crazy to me
what I had to say. I mean, at the time, because this is what happened, and I'm gonna speak it again. Sorry for doing this to you because it's probably gonna blow up.
No, it's fine. I stood up and backed her 100% on all this. So
the teachers were offered a $5,000 stimulus payment for the summer. Okay, they were given it. The board was not aware that this was happening. They all took it. And then it all comes down to, God damn, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this. Someone coming to my dad and saying,
allegedly
saying that, hey, did you know that all the teachers got this $5,000 bonus wearing a wire? And my dad said, well, no, but did you take it? And this alleged person said, well, yeah, I took it. He said, allegedly, they said, did you give it back? My dad said, did you give it back? He said, no. He said, then why are you telling on people? Why are you bringing this up? So that's the real story. It trickled down from that. So I don't want to say I distrust the school board, but at the same time,
the school board seems to have a serious.
We got better than this. We got better than this in St. Joe. And it's
the school board seems to have a serious public relations.
It's like I told you, my dad didn't do it for social gain. He did it for to help the South End. I think Martin Rucker did the same damn thing.
To help the South Side, and because your dad is one of those people that actually cares about kids.
He, like I said, he makes $27,000 a year still. He's turned down multiple offers from Colorado Olympic Training Center, and he still does this. And people are just like, whoa, they're getting paid all this money. They're not getting paid shit. But the people that are trying to social gain, it's what I think we got going on in here.
Because, okay, now, see, obviously, I live in Texas now. And so I get to sit back and I watch from afar, because I've got so many friends. So I will ask you this before I get into that. You have moved away and lived elsewhere than St. Joe.
Yes.
Did you have the same thing I did where, you looked at St. Joe as a kid and it's like, oh, it's not that bad. And then you step back and look at it from over here and you're like, it's a dumpster fire. I love my town.
Yes. I moved to Colorado Springs out of high school to train for the Olympics. Then I moved to New Mexico. Then I moved to Florida. Then I moved to Arizona. I moved back to moved to California, and then I went back to Colorado Springs. I've been everywhere. And my dad begged me before the Rio Olympics, hey, I just need you to come back. Let's end this where we finished it. And that's it. And so I actually moved to Overland Park, Kansas, and drove to the gym every day, which was like an hour and 15 minutes or so. And I just hated it. And then I moved back to St. Joe, and then I met the father of my children.
That we don't talk about.
Oh, God. I don't think we can get into that conversation because it's like...
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
But I mean,
anyway...
We'll have Heather back on at some point later, and we'll talk about
No, I think we need to have, like, an add-on to this. But what I want to say is, like, not good things. Okay, hang on.
No, right, so, okay, anyway.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Back to the school board. So, yeah, the school board, since all this stuff has happened, and we had, I think, Dan Hogan's embezzling money or something somewhere. I don't know. Again, I've sat back. There we go. I sit back and watched. Talk about St. Joe. But I've sat back and watched from afar and seen this because I've got so many friends and I've still got loved ones and I love my town. I'm very interested in what is going on in my hometown. The school board has an interesting, like, public relations image over the last couple of years. So, there's a lot of mistrust from the people of St. Joe. Every time they ask for, like, a school bond thing, people are automatically like, no. And then it's like, well, why did you vote no? And then you turn on KQ2, which I have it. I can watch it right here.
You can?
Oh, yeah. Cool. So I used to work for KQ2, so that's a double thing for me. I like to watch it because I like to laugh and scream at the TV and be like, pan camera number 1. I still direct the show from the couch, but KQ2 is terrible, by the way. No, so you turn on KQ2 and it's like, school board member slaps another one in the hallway during a knockdown, drag-out fight after a school board meeting. I'm like, shit.
Now I gotta watch it.
What?
Continue, and I'll tell you my thoughts on that.
Was there... And I'm not trying to start a whole thing, but something about a drag queen trying to be on the school board or something? I don't know. I half hear things, and it's like, what?
Oh... It's
somebody, and then the guy resigned here a couple weeks ago, and now we're fighting over his seat.
So, you want the real story, or you want me to sugarcoat this a little bit?
Don't sugarcoat anything. Let's go.
This Whitney Lanning person, don't know her? Never met her.
I feel like I know that name, but...
You don't, because you've heard it. She's not from here. She's from fucking Kansas. She's from, a Spring Hill, Kansas. I'll talk a lot of shit if you let me on her. But all I have to say is she attacked another board member in the hallway at a board meeting and still didn't get kicked off the board. And I think that's wild. That's wild to me. Because she's been fired from her job that she had before that. And mind you, I listen to all sides. I don't just listen to, like, this side or this side. I just kind of, like, make my judgments on people. Like I said, if I meet them, if I met her, maybe I could give you a better option. But at the same time, I'm not finding anything good about that. I think she's trying to social climb. I don't think her kids go to school here. I don't think that she's from here because she wouldn't be playing this game. And then, not to mention the fact that she attacked this girl that was on the school board. I didn't even know she was on the school board. I have no idea who's even on it anymore. Like, that's how crazy. And now they're, like, having a meeting to decide, and I don't recognize any of the names.
There's one on there that looks familiar. Is it Cassandra Veal or something like that?
Veal. That's who they want. That's who they want.
I feel like I know that person.
Because she's easily intimidated. Everyone's like, Heather, you need to run. My dad goes, I swear to God, you do not do that. They will cut me down to the bone. And I'd be fine with it if I didn't have a real job.
Right.
I mean, like,
I don't know that I want that headache. And besides, I think you should shoot higher.
I honestly might. Because it's just like...
I want to see, like, you and Josh Hall, like on something.
I just...
You know Josh Hall?
No.
He's another Southside boy. Who's
Josh
10 years
Hall?
older than we are, at least.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
I'll be 39 in July.
Josh
Hall.
Yeah, he's probably 10, 15 years older than we are. He was my producer at KQ2. He's the one, if you get on YouTube, YouTube his name. He's the smartass that's standing out there news style with his beard. Like, he looks, I love him. I love you, Josh. He looks tough. I'm trying to get him to come on and produce the show for me, actually. But he's out there with his beard and his deal. He looks like the Big Lebowski, basically. He's that kind of guy. And he's like, well, let me tell you, they're trying to shut down Hall Elementary School and this and that, and more on this tonight. He will do it news style, and it's so funny. But yeah, like, both of y'all together, he's also very outspoken. If he had, like, a laptop or something, I'd have him come on the show. But
but at the same time, like, my dad's like, just shut the fuck up. Jeff's like,
it's good to be outspoken. You care.
Like, I don't think that, I don't know. And, you know.
You care. I would be more outspoken about things in town if I lived there.
And that's the thing. I don't need the social background of it. And I think that that's what a lot of them are doing. It's just like this, you saw the school lunch thing, right?
Yes. I was reading that before you came on, and I was like,
and then they posted that pretty little thing.
The foam tray with the, and I'm with you. I'm like, what is this? And then
Cree goes,
on top of that,
seen that. I've never seen that. He goes to
school. I will add this. If we're spending this much money on foam trays, imagine where that money could go. I own a restaurant. I know how much those foam trays cost.
Dude, like, that's a teacher's
we're actually using
tray. Them. You can't convince me otherwise. And I feel so bad because the girl that posted it, I really feel for, and you know, her family and everything else. Like, and that's the thing about doing all this stuff and, like, saying all this stuff is, like, you hurt people's feelings. But I want you to hurt my feelings if I'm wrong. Hurt my feelings. Right. But I think, I don't know. I don't know.
You should run for something. I wouldn't suggest school board. Shoot for hire. Let's just change town fundamentally.
They would rip apart me as a character and Jeff and just everything.
They will. So Megan ran for city council here in Luling a couple of years ago. Keep in mind, again, this is a town of 6,000 people. She knows everybody. And these people know her. And they tore her apart. And me being the outspoken, you want to talk about getting ghetto and whatever, like, that's where she had to contain me. She'd stay off of Facebook. Because I'm out here ready to rip somebody. I'm like, how dare you? And then what makes me angry, see, here I'm going to start in and try and contain it as much as I can. But the guy she ran against is like 80 some odd years old. You would think it comes to a point in time on a city council or a St. Joseph school board or whatever entity you're running for, where the old people look at people our age and go, maybe it's time to give it up. Maybe it's time to hand it off to somebody who cares. But no, we've got to maintain our spot and our social card and all of this stuff. And yeah, it put me through more hell than it ever did her. Because I have to sit back and be like, this is terrible.
No, you do No, you do.
So
damn.
I remember backing you during your thing when you were, standing up there and they were trying to tear you apart for sticking up for your dad, and it was like, no, this is bullshit. I know this guy.
They will. But at the same time, it's like, who's going to do the right thing?
Yeah, somebody has to.
For free.
That's why I say you're afraid to, you keep saying that.
I'm not afraid.
No, I mean, we're going to get trouble for saying this and that. It's like, no, we're not.
But
and if
do you remember And I think that maybe we need to bring this up. Maybe this actually will clarify something. Do you remember whenever I moved back from Colorado to Kansas? Were you part of that?
Yes. Yeah.
When I had Gossip Girl as my boyfriend?
Damn it, yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So that way I can
Gossip
clarify it
Girl.
to everything. Hello, you. When I had Joe as my boyfriend. So, Joe, we're
not supposed to say his name, he'll appear.
No, that's not his real name. Joe decided to make a blog about me 6 months after after we broke up. So 6 months after we broke up, Joe made a blog. And I was at a Nebraska basketball game, and I've never told this story to anyone. And my best friend said, "You better get on the internet and check this out." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, what?" She said, "Well, Joe made a blog about you." What? He had a whole ass girlfriend with a kid. She had a kid. And he made a blog about me and said that I extorted money from the Wesley Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he did that. And so immediately the next day, my mom has worked there for like 32 or 33 years. They put her on leave to check this out. What the money was for me to fly from California to a meet that was approved. And they said, well, we can't still like handle this media drama, so we're going to have to fire you. So anyway, thank you, Joe. Don't worry, I'm still watching for you. I have not seen that man since that day. And my dad still works there. Also, it was traumatic that you would get somebody's mom fired from their job.
Well, and in typical St. Joe fashion, like they jump on some.
No, he was on the
BS
fucking news.
I know.
They go.
Again, that's
Heather,
typical.
why is your
Typical St. Joe
ex-boyfriend on the
man.
news? I go, why is he on the news talking about our breakup? He was on the fucking news, bro. And I'm like,
Stupid.
I'm like looking behind me like, what? He went through extreme lengths to make sure that I was murdered here.
I don't think it worked though.
It didn't work.
It doesn't seem like that actually happened. So, and I mean, this is a
It
place
did
where
for my mom. It did for my mom.
and that's the shitty part of it.
Dude, I have to live with it every day.
But no, I mean, and that's a St. Joe thing. Like you could one stupid little thing people latch onto, and then it's like we're just gonna kill you. Josh Hall, who I was talking about. So Josh is a sentimental person, and he ran the Plaza 8 movie theater.
Awesome.
Josh's big claim to fame was on the last day it was open. I guess he got drunk, and I can tell this story. He'll tell this story. He got drunk and let the other employees come in and trash the place. And then they called the insurance, and then he got arrested because they found out it was insurance fraud stuff.
Come on.
I've asked him this, and he just goes, "It was a stupid moment." But ever since then, he has got this reputation as he's the criminal in town. And like it's hard for him to find a job and whatever. It is like, Josh, dude. I try to get him to go anywhere else, but I'm not talking about you, Mr. Hall. I'm just talking about you. But no, because he's super smart, super intelligent. He can do just about anything. But again, his priorities were he wanted to take care of his family, and he didn't want to move them somewhere else. And so he's got to live with, people pointing and going, "That's the guy." Whisper, whisper, whisper. And I've been there. I spoke out against somebody that ended up being the deputy mayor here in town, and Well, they're in town, not here in town. In St. Joe.
Here's the thing.
And people, every time I'd walk down the street, but...
Fuck them.
Yep.
You have to, and in this life, and in this world this crazy fucking world we're living in, you have to be the guy. And I pride myself in being the guy because I just need to like own this shit. You own it. And I think that St. Joe, we're never going to have a good school board again. We're never going to have anybody like willing to like step up to like do all this stuff again just because they don't have a social interaction with it. But at the same time, like, I don't even know what to say to it. Like, it's like, do you want to do it? If you want to do it without a pay and spend 50% at least of your time into it, then do it. If not, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Like,
and St. Joe's such a weird place. I wish that there were more people like you. Like, I just watched a video a couple of days ago. The guy that owns Chris and Kate's was on TV.
Don't get me started on that.
Oh, yeah. But he had some interesting things to say, and I was like, why don't you run for something?
Oh, no, he has a lot of interesting things to say. I'm not getting into that.
Hey, I don't know that guy. He's not from St. Joe, I don't think. Is he from St. Joe? Should I know him?
He has Fit Republic. They're really trying hard to be like super trendy.
I was like, what is Fit Republic? See, I'm so out of touch. It's like I joked earlier. I was reading the thing about the school lunches.
I've seen him work out
And yeah, I saw the thing about it's like we have those at Carden Park. I was like, what the hell's Carden Park?
Dude, have you seen Carden Park? That school.
I know what it is. It's a
school. Any fucking school in this fucking. Okay, so I went to take they needed shoes at Carden Park because Carden Park's in the hood. So
I don't know where it even is.
I take shoes to Carden Park. That school is a fucking college. It is.
Where is it? Where is Carden Park?
Immaculate. It's up on the hill. Hang on.
I remember them talking about building it, and that's my joke.
Dude,
it's like I get to say that because
they hired. So my dad was on the school board when they hired the architect for it.
I haven't lived there in 10 years, so it's like what? I like driving down the belt and seeing the 50 Duncan.
But I'm telling you now,
that is the hood.
It looks like it's a fucking college. I walked into there to donate shit because that's all the poor kids, they say.
Yeah.
And I walk in and their cafeteria is like my whole house. I walked in, I'm like,
there's
another
elementary school on
Dude, but
Duncan,
that's
though, right?
what I'm saying. I'm not against a new school. But I am against a school that you're trying to build for somebody else that you have no idea about.
Yeah, St. Joe's made interesting choices with schools over the years. But, I mean, this is every school district. Luling had the same problem here in town. Our school building is falling apart, and it can't handle this, and it can't handle that, and then they tax us, and then we build this new school, and then they turn the old school into an apartment complex, and people continue to live in said apartment complex that was falling apart and couldn't handle it for the next 50 years.
But tell me this,
after it's
Logan,
already sat there for 200 years. That's a lot of money.
Tell me this. You want to build a new school for the South End. That's what the whole facade was. You picked 36 Highway, which goes all the way to Cameron, by the way. You have a school here that is a block away from Hyde Park. Why not tear down this one and build a new one?
Usually, that's a fair idea, yeah. Since we've got all these
but they didn't have a school. They had no idea, and then now they're fighting about it. They said,
"Well, yeah, I saw their plan.
There was
their
no
plan was like Well, that's what I say. The plan was like Office Space. Remember the poster in the background, plan to plan or something like that?
No plan.
And they're out there and they're like, you see this plot of land right here? Somewhere in this general area.
Over here, over yonder. No. Like, no one's gonna vote. And now you have lost that. You have lost the voters. I mean, no one is gonna vote for this now. Because you lied.
They'll find a way to make you pay somehow.
Huh. Yeah.
By tearing down Wawa and Awa, moving him somewhere, and building a.
Well, I hope that haunts them forever. Then, if they do,
what do they build? They're building a firehouse or something, right?
Okay, so let's station there.
Oh no, that doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know. And then that spot right there is part of the Parkway system, I believe, which is on the National Register. So I don't know that they can actually build something there. It's not going to stop them, but that's just like them tearing down the balustrade around City Hall. Been there 87 years. But that's St. Joe, and we like to tear down history. It's what we do. It's our favorite thing in the world. When we come back all the time, we gotta come back and get together and something. Every time we come, but yeah, we'll come back probably. That's what I say. We'll be back. We'll be back somewhere probably within the next couple of months. Hopefully, I don't care. I'm used to it. It'll be fine. All right, so we're like at an hour and a half. So we appreciate Heather Snethen coming on the show and unloading. We'll have her back. No, we will have her back definitely at some point. Check out the wrestling shows. Check out the links to the GoFundMe stuff. I'll have Shiva Queens on there as well. I will. So we will see y'all when we see y'all.